pull it together because you're live now.
I'm live now?
You're live now.
We're live now. All right, let's pull it together.
Okay. Gotta be good.
I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
I like that screen. That's very, very.
You like that?
Yes, I do.
Very empowering.
Very empowering. That's exactly why it's there. Sean, are you rolling your
Everything's they ordered the drink.
Awesome.
That's only for the sun. The whole thing.
That was only for the sun? All right. Thanks for the opportunity of doing this. I greatly appreciate it. One of the things that I was sharing earlier is sales training, and basically what we're going to go through here today, empower your sales. I'm going to talk about the 7 steps of the selling cycle, and most people don't even recognize their 7 steps to the selling cycle. And so one of the things that we've understood is we've put this training into organizations that when we call awareness to this, all of a sudden people have a whole new approach to their conversations and what happens. So the reason I call this Empower Your Sales is because Empower is a 7-letter acronym for the 7 steps of the selling cycle itself. So I like to find out who's in the room, speakers, trainers typically. I find a lot of coaches. Then there's the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur I call both incidental and accidental. The incidental is on purpose. The accidental is, I got nothing else to do, I better go do something right now. And a lot of times they don't get this. Another is small business owners. It's interesting, I'm very fortunate in that I get to train a lot in the holistic disciplines. And for some reason, the holistic disciplines tend not to understand that they're in sales. There's no way of having clients, patients, customers, if we can't communicate our message and go through that. 90% of success is just showing up. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody on the live and everybody who will see this after the fact on the recordings. Because again, investing in yourself, I heard it said this morning, there's 3 types of time. We spend time, we waste time, and we invest time. And many times spending is just wandering around aimlessly. Nobody purposely schedules time to waste. It just kind of happens. But the best kind of time that we can possibly have is to invest, and that's what's happening here. So I congratulate you for being here and everything that we're doing. So the question is, and we have a room of diverse people and obviously online as well, what business are you in? This was the participation.
Sales and coaching.
Sales and coaching.
Consulting.
Consulting.
Burgers.
What's that?
Burgers.
Burgers. You're in the burger business.
Advertising.
Advertising. Now, while that might be the category that you play in, that's not really the business you're in. Because we're all in the exact same business. And that is the results business. No matter what our category is or what we do, we have to provide results for those that we work with. Jenna, if you don't have great landing pages that provide results, whether you're a digital marketer or not is really irrelevant. We have to provide the results in our categories of expertise as we go along. So if we reframe it that way a little bit, it's amazing. A lot of things that I work to do in sales training is to reframe how we look at things. Many times I'll ask people, what business are you in? And they'll give me all sorts of other names, but the reality is if we can't communicate our message, ultimately we have a problem. So what do you need to know this for? Well, number one, you need to know it so you can meet more prospects. Secondly, to create better relationships. Ultimately, business is all about relationships, especially if we want to make it easy. Communicating your message clearly. Many times, again, I'm very fortunate to do a lot of trainings in the holistic disciplines, but because of the holistic disciplines and trying to achieve authority, sometimes we tend to use acronyms that only we know, or big words that only we know. And the reality is, what we need to know for a fact is start your communication at a 5th grade level and bring it up. If you start technical, here's what happens. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Do you want to buy? Uh-uh. Why not? Well, it's just not right for me. See, they'll never say to you, I don't understand a dang thing you said to me. It'll blow over the top of their heads. So you always start less technical. You can always get more technical, but if you start technical, you will lose them and you'll never gain them back. Obviously, a big part of why you need to know this is to grow your businesses. We all have an opportunity to serve more people when we grow our businesses to a greater extent. Handling rejection and objections. Has anybody ever had either rejection or an objection in their business? Just once? Well, let me handle one of those right out of the blocks. There is no such thing as rejection. It does not exist, except in one place. And where is that place?
Marriage.
It could be in marriage, in dating. No, it's actually within ourselves. It's not possible for anybody to reject you. The only one that can reject you is you. It's not what anybody else says to you that makes a difference. It's what you say to you after they stop talking. So if somebody said, you know, Sean, I can't believe you wear those shoes, Sean could say, well, the only reason he's reaching out to me is because he knows I have the self-esteem to be able to take it. He can't be rejected by that statement. Or if I say, I can't believe you wear those shoes. Oh, I wonder if he thinks I'm really, oh, what am I doing? Am I standing out too much? See, it's not what I said to him that counts. It's what he says to him after I stop talking. So there is no such thing as rejection. Eleanor Roosevelt said it, no one can make me feel inferior without my consent. It's the exact situation. Now, are there going to be objections? Absolutely, and we're going to talk about that. And quite frankly, we want to welcome objections. What? Are you kidding me? No, we want to welcome our objections as we go along. And how about demolishing fear? There's one great definition that works for 2 words, and that is belief in the unseen and assurance of the unknown. That's the definition of fear. Belief in the unseen. I can't see it, but I'm afraid of it. Or assurance of the unknown. It hasn't happened, but I'm sure it's going to happen. So we have fear. But that's also the definition of faith. And so when we take that definition on the other side, one is the definition on the negative side, one is the definition on the positive side. We would much prefer to believe it to be faith. Belief in the unseen. Something good is coming my way. Assurance of the unknown. Opportunities are abundant in coming towards me. So, why do we need to know it? We need to know it because we can make more money. Is it all about the money? It's not about the money. It's about the 2 things that come with money. The first thing is that you can have influence. People listen to people who have money. And the second thing is you can do good works. It's hard to do good works. It's hard to save the world. It's hard to make a positive impact if you don't have the cash flow to do exactly that. And so again, one of the reasons that I feel blessed in being able to train on this is to help other people understand if they want to serve more and do more, they have to have a solid infrastructure in place to be able to do that on the money side. Why else would we want to know how to do these things? Well, we want to be able to share our stories. And we were talking earlier that, in fact, everything happens in our life for a reason to ultimately serve us. And if it can serve us, it can also serve other people. Well, the only way it can serve those other people is if we have the ability to disseminate that message. to share that story. It gives us the opportunity to give back more. I think, quite frankly, we've been put on this earth for only two reasons: to have a fabulous life and to serve as many other people as we possibly can. I mean, I truly believe that's why we're here. We're here to be of assistance and serve other people as we go along. And obviously we need to know all this so we can close more business. Now, I actually like to change that, and in a lot of trainings and with one organization, we actually changed that to open more relationships as opposed to close more business. Now, I get universally, people have called it closing a sale, but what you're really doing is opening an ongoing relationship for an extended period of time and live totally fulfilled. I think that when we can truly express ourselves freely, when we can use the expertise that we have and really be able to share it willingly, I think we ultimately live more fulfilled. I think that's the exciting part of all of this as we go along. Now, sometimes, again, I want to create a frame of reference. Well, when I was 17 years old, just a few short years ago.
Is that when we're supposed to laugh?
Yeah, that's nice. I read a book, See You at the Top, by the great Zig Ziglar. Now, this is Zig and I having lunch. We did a hostage exchange. I signed one of my books to him. He signed one of his books, his last book, to me. But at that lunch, I had the opportunity to ask him about a quote that I read in See You at the Top that forever changed my life. That quote was, "You can have everything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want." See, Zig understood servant leadership a long, long time ago. And it was really a place that his words, when I was 17 years old, have now impacted not only me, but they've created the ripple effect of everybody that I've had the opportunity to impact over my career. That's the exciting part about it, is how can we serve more people to serve more people? And I had that opportunity. I said, "Zig, when did you create that?" And he said, "Scott, I didn't create that." I said, "My mama taught me that when I was 5. It was part of my christening when I was 12. I said, "Zig, can I share that story?" He said, "I'd be honored." See, we have the opportunity to understand that just like a stone being thrown into water and the ripples that are created, we never know where those ripples are going to end up. We all have an opportunity to do more, to be more, to ultimately have more, because we've served more along the way. So that's really setting the foundation. And one of my quotes is, when you have a big enough what and a strong enough why, the how shows up. Far too often we ask the wrong question. How is this going to happen? How am I going to draw these customers? How am I going to serve this niche? It's really the wrong question. The question should be, what do you want to accomplish? Why do you want to accomplish it? When you focus on the what and the why, the how will ultimately show up. We had a conversation quite some time ago, and you were saying that you wanted to build funnels and to do different things live. And wouldn't it be fun if we could show more people all the success that they could have? Well, what did you want to do? You wanted to help more people. Why did you want to do it? Because you've got all this expertise and this ability to do it. Well, all of a sudden, Double Funnel TV came out of that. The how showed up. We didn't focus on the how first, we focused on the what and the why, and now we've been doing these shows. I get asked when I do this presentation and others, why would you share your secrets? Well, part of it is because of my BHAG, my big, hairy, audacious goal. And my BHAG, for the longest time, has been to positively impact 1 billion or more lives on the planet. Sometimes people say, well, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? I mean, 1 billion people. In one time I was doing a radio interview, somebody said that to me, and I said, well, that's only one of people on the planet, and my desire is to serve 1 billion of them, and what if I miss it horribly? and I hit 100 million. Or I'm terrible at it and I hit 10 million. Or I just plain suck and I only touch 1 million. Would that be okay? See, if we would all just understand, it's exactly why Sean and I created U+1, because everybody wants to start with the masses, but nobody wants to serve the individual. If we would all just serve one more person, it's amazing what could happen. Most people don't realize 2 telling 2 telling 2 telling 2 32 times covers everybody on the planet. 2 telling 2 telling 2 telling 2 32 times.
It's the old Joe Namath commercial.
That's right. The fact is that we can touch every life on the planet. So again, whether it's 1 billion, 100 million, 10 million, whatever you want to do, you can achieve. The other thing is that a river reaches places its source never knows. If we can disseminate this information and we can help others with this, whether it be through our live stream or through recordings or doing it live, we don't know what tidbit, what tip, what technique, what strategy you'll leave with here today. My goal is simply to have you leave with at least one nugget that will serve you better. Now, what is that nugget? I don't know. My pre-event prayer is the same at every time. Lord, allow the words that I share here today to positively impact 100% of the lives in one way, shape, or form. Only you know who you sent here to hear this message. Allow me to do the best I can to deliver that message, be a vehicle and of service to you. That's all I can ever control, is a high intention and a low attachment. A high intention of imparting something nice and great here for each and every one of you. Some nugget you can take away. And a low attachment as to what that nugget is. It's not my responsibility to determine what's important to you. That's for you. It's my responsibility to disseminate knowledge that I've gained from my mentors over my career to be of greatest service as I can possibly be. Now, why is this all important? And this might be a little corny, but it's really not. Our country needs you to keep providing solutions and contributing and helping people. Rayanne, in your fact, we need holistic solutions. Has anybody else besides me noticed our medical system is messed up? Yeah, just a little bit, right? So we need those kinds of solutions. We need people that are willing to wake people up and get them out of their zombie state. Right, Dave?
Right.
We've got to get people back in understanding, because entrepreneurialism is the lifeblood of this country. Anybody who thinks corporate jobs are coming back is living in a dream world. We're going the other way by leaps and bounds. Now, if you talk to the Small Business Association, you also find out that the vast majority of small businesses are failing. Why are they failing? Because many have become those accidental entrepreneurs. They've been forced to do something else. Their investments haven't worked, so their retirement has dissipated. All sorts of different things are happening today. We need to serve entrepreneurs to the best of our ability. That's why, as a coach and as a trainer, I can teach a lot of things, but it's irrelevant what I can teach if the student doesn't have want to. The student has to have want to ability. They want to do something different. They're stuck where they are today. They don't want to be stuck any longer from that side. So the year was 1904. There was a Russian sociologist by the name of Ivan Pavlov, and he was doing a study. He rang a bell, he sat down some meat, and the dog salivated. And then he rang a bell, he sat down some meat, and the dog salivated. And then he simply rang a bell with no meat, but the dog still salivated. What was he studying?
Pavlovian response.
That's right. Conditioned response. That's really all sales presentation is a conditioned response. And so when you learn to present in a better way, you will have greater success. It's just the way it is. Now I want to prove this to you. I don't want you to just believe it. So this is an audible test. We're all a creature of habit. We can be conditioned very easily. Now I want to prove this. The way we're going to do it is we're going to spell the word silk out loud together 5 times. S-I-L-K, 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 S-I-L-K. What do cows drink?
Water.
Milk.
Cows drink milk?
No. They make milk. They drink
Cows
water.
make milk.
Hey, baby cows, they drink milk.
It's
Baby cows.
somebody in every crowd says baby cows drink milk, but no, that's not the right answer, and you know it. That's a stretch. The fact of the matter is, everybody didn't want to sound silly saying silk, so that they tend to say milk. But that shows you how easily the brain can be conditioned. Now, I know I just took advantage of you, so can we try another one?
Sure.
Okay. This time, we're all creatures of habit. We can be conditioned very easily. This time, we're going to do math, and then you're going to say your answer out loud. What is 4, 8, 16, 32? Pick a number between 12 and 5 and write it down. How many wrote 7? Crazy, huh?
That's bizarre.
That's bizarre. Would you like to know how that happened?
Yeah.
Good, I'll tell you in a minute. Let's do one more. Ready? What is 6? 6. 6. 6. 6. Say 6 as many times as you can, as fast as you can. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, Write down a vegetable. How many of you wrote carrot?
Oh, Jesus.
Would you like to know how that happened?
Yes.
I'll tell you later. See, one of the things that we've lost, why did I do that? One of the things that we've lost in sales presentation in this day and age, because we live in this immediate gratification, me, now society, is we want to have the answers to everything, we want to know everything, but on the other side, conversely, we've stopped creating curiosity. We've got the urge to purge, that verbal vomit. Let me tell you everything that I've ever learned about everything in the next 12 seconds. You lost me at hello. We're not stopping long enough to create curiosity. Now, that's why I did that playing with you there, Randy, as far as do you want to know? Yeah, because I want to create curiosity. I want him to want to know. Far too often as presenters, we want to present before they want to know. I want them to want the know. Now it's permission-based presentation. I want them to want to hear. Now the reason it happens, the first one I told you, you don't want to say so you end up saying milk, and all the answer is really water. The second one, your brain is doing math. And so you're adding numbers, 2 plus 2, 4 plus 4, 8 plus 8. You're adding, and all of a sudden I say, pick a number between 12 and 5. Your brain automatically goes into subtraction. 12 minus 5 is 7, which is also in between. In this case, with the 6s, many times when people create a vegetable platter, they use carrot sticks. So the brain associates 6 with sticks, which then goes to carrot sticks on the platter. Now,
I should have said rutabaga.
You should have, you didn't, but you should have, you're right. The point is, we can all be conditioned very easily, and that's what we're talking about. Bottom line is, success leaves clues. So you have to begin with the end in mind. Who said that? Stephen Covey. You have to know your outcome. Tony Robbins. You have to start with a vision. Jack Canfield. All three very learned, very educated trainers, all talking about it's not where you are today that counts. It's where you want to be. You have to know where you're going. And there's a pretty good sales manual that says, without vision, the people perish. The fact is, we have to be looking out in here. So again, with this training, what we want to do is we want to empower you to sell more, to serve more. Selling is serving. When you put those together, it's amazing how much easier this becomes. We're here to explore the millions of prospects that exist for your products, goods, and services. We don't have to birth anybody to have any more prospects. We've got 7 billion people on this planet. What we do have to do is educate them as to the value of what your products, goods, and services do. Henry Ford said it in 1939, think you can, think you can't. You're right either way. Think you can, think you can't, you're right. So if you believe you have the ability to serve more people, you will be able to serve more people. If you believe that you cannot serve people, you will not serve people. We were having conversations before this started, and a great realization came to me about the value of sales training. It happened to me in the last 10 days or so. All of a sudden, a friend started saying, why aren't you doing more sales training? Your training helped grow an organization from 8 million to 100 million plus in a little over 5 years. That's a phenomenal track record. Was a phenomenal track record. Some things happened which actually allowed me, or I made the decision to pull back from sales training. There's no time like now to do sales training. We need more of it today than ever because we've lost the art of communication. We've lost the art of presentation. And so it's a great realization. It took whatever period of time to do that. Now, I'm more excited about training than I have been in a long time. So with that, a quick quiz. What's the world's oldest profession? I've heard some of the other answers, but that's right. Sales is the world's oldest profession. Shame on you, Rand. The fact of the matter is, sales is the world's oldest profession. I'm going to suggest to you that until the deal was done, there was no consummation.
So that was sales too?
It's all sales. So the fact of the matter is, I used to actually have business cards that said, proud member of the world's oldest profession. I got funny looks. I don't understand. The point is, how many of you dislike salespeople? Yeah? How many of you are in sales? We're all in sales every minute of every day. The reason we just have to embrace it. Many people don't realize it. Now I know that's a dramatic statement. I'd expect me to prove it. Okay, prove it. How many of you have ever been on a date? You made a sale. How many of you have put a kid to bed? You've made a sale. How many of you are married? You're better at this than you think. See, the fact of the matter is, all it is presenting a position for somebody to consider adopting. That's all it is. So presentation makes the difference. Sales and marketing are not dirty words. They're core skill sets. If you don't have the ability to sell and market your business, you've got a serious problem. Sales, by definition, the Webster's definition, is the exchange of a product, good, or service for an amount of money or its equivalent. Now again, I've repeatedly said I train a lot in the holistic disciplines. We have wonderful holistic practitioners who don't like to ask for money because it's money. Well, if you don't ask for money, you have no business. So you have to do that. But what I work to do first is to reframe it, the equivalent. It makes my heart feel good. So selling is the exchange of a product, good, or service, and it makes my heart feel good. but you could actually put the empower your sales definition in, which is education through communication without manipulation. See, if you reframe sales in your head, that is not some nasty thing, rather it is a educational process. We have to educate others on the features, advantages, and benefits that our products, goods, and services have to offer to satisfy their needs, wants, and desires. It's education through communication without manipulation. Now, why is this so important? There was a recent Notre Dame study, and this is fascinating to me. It basically found that 44% of all salespeople stop attempting after the first sales call. Another 24% after the second call. Another 14% after the third call. And another 12% after the fourth call. What that totals is 94% of all salespeople quit attempting after the fourth sales call. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this so important? Because they also found that 60% of all sales happen in the fifth call or after. A long time ago, I went to a training, and it's another one of those statements that was made that just so ingrained in me. Today's activity does not determine today's volume. Today's volume is determined by what happened 30, 60, 90 days ago. Today's activity determines what happens 30, 60, 90 days from now. So again, what we have to understand is if 60% of all business happens in the fifth call or after, there's only 6% of the salespeople that are staying in contact, that are nurturing the sale, that are growing the business. Do I want everybody to buy everything I have to offer today? What do you think? Absolutely. But if you don't do it today, would I like it tomorrow? Yes. And if you don't do it tomorrow, would I like it next week? Sure. And if not next week, next month. And if not next month, next year. Absolutely. Sometimes people ask, Scott, how have you gotten on some of these major stages that you've been on? You've had the opportunity to speak in arenas with some of the greats and 25,000, 27,000 people. Well, it was simple. I was asked to do an event in Dallas, did the event in Dallas, noticed that there were far more people than they had enough staff to handle. After I was done speaking, I said, would you like me to help you for the rest of the weekend in the back of the room? They said, we can't pay you. I said, I didn't ask to be paid. I asked if you needed help. I helped them the rest of the weekend. 5 years later, the person who retained me for that event walked into the Marina Hotel in Sarasota, Florida. I went, hey, Rick, how you doing? He goes, you remember me? I said, I remember every guy I spent a weekend with at the Hotel Intercontinental. Randy, it wasn't like that. So yeah, he ended up buying the $4,000 product that I was presenting from stage that day. 5 years later, he was responsible for all the speakers on the Get Motivated stages. They were having a conversation one day, said between Peter Lowe, the owner, and the CEO and him, and said, who's the best speaker in the country that's not speaking on our platform right now? And write down a name and put it in the middle. They all three wrote down my name. They gave me a call that afternoon. I became a 10-year overnight sensation. Now, how many of you think that I would like that sales cycle to be shorter than 10 years? Of course I would. But if in that case it took 10 years to get that opportunity, that's what that opportunity took. It's just that simple. So again, it's a prime example of nurturing relationships over time. So this is where presentation makes a difference. Marketing is simply the process of promoting and selling and distributing that product or service. That's what Jenna does so wonderfully with all the digital marketing and everything that she's putting together. It's the expression of your business to the market. And marketing isn't an investment, it's not an expense. You've got to look at it as part of the normal business process. Now, I was going to do an event in Tucson. We're pulling up to a stoplight in the car I was in, and this is the car that was in the lane next to us. Honk if you love Girl Scout cookies. You can see styrofoam cookies at the bottom, which it's hard to see across the top. It says cookies in styrofoam letters, all in beautiful colors. And when we pulled up to this car in the back seat, there was a little Girl Scout that went, pull over, we're buying cookies. Some of the best marketing I had ever seen. Honk if you love Girl Scout cookies. I mean, it was absolutely, it did everything that it had to do. It captured the interest and attention and shared the message. That's marketing at its finest, right there. Now, when it comes to presentation, this is where we have to win the conceptual battle. And a concept is an idea, a notion, a thought, a perception, impression, conception, theory, model, hypothesis, view, or belief. There's only two ways to present product: price-based selling and brand-based selling. Brand is the concept. We have to win the concept. Price is who has the lowest price. Now, in theory, how many people can have the lowest price? One. So if you're not it, that puts you in the other category automatically. Now, there are people who represent themselves as having the lowest price that don't actually have the lowest price. But they have so convinced people that they have the lowest price that people go there and don't pay the lowest price. Isn't it interesting? They have a brand strategy inside a pricing model. Now, the vast majority of people that I tend to train are on the brand side, the concept side. Nobody wants what it is. Quite frankly, nobody wants this training. The training is a thing. Me, the trainer, is a thing. Nobody really wants this thing or this training. What they want is the results that the training brings. It's the exact same thing in your business. Nobody wants consulting. They want the results from the extra revenue that the consulting brings or whatever that might be along the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, people don't want, if they could have holistic health, they would love to have the health that comes from it, but they don't want the process to get there. Make sense? The key to increasing your close ratio is providing the information necessary to make a quality decision. That's the one thing that most people, again, feel like it's quantity over quality. What we really want to do, that's exactly it. They got this, they want to chirp. A lot of times salespeople want to hear themselves speak. What we really want to do is use the fewest words possible to get them from point A to point B. And once they're at point B and ready to take the action, that's when we stop talking. So that's what we really want to do, is we want to give just enough information to get them from one point to the next point. So ultimately, successful sales growth only comes down to two things. Number one, having a recipe, and number two, execution of that recipe. That's what they want to do. So let me take it outside of sales for a second and take it into baking. The world's best apple pie.
My wife's.
Okay? Does your wife have a recipe?
Yes, ma'am.
What is, yes, ma'am, that's nice. What does the recipe give you?
Really good apple pie.
The execution of the recipe gives you really good apple pie. What does the recipe give you?
It gives the ingredients and the process.
Gives you the ingredients, gives you the quantity of the ingredients, gives you the order of mixing the ingredients, gives you the process of the ingredients. Now, so you've got the ingredients list, you've got the quantities of the ingredients, you've actually even mixed it, you've put it together. What do you still need to do?
Bake it.
You still need to bake it. That's one more step in the process. Then what do you have to do?
Let it cool.
You have to let it cool. Then what do you have to do?
Eat it.
Then you eat it. So there's lots of steps. What too many salespeople want is they want the end result without doing the steps to get there. And is it possible? And I know your wife would never do this. Is it possible to skip an ingredient here and there?
It's possible.
And what happens if an ingredient is skipped?
It'll taste different.
It will taste different. Or if you use salt instead of sugar.
Right.
Or if you use baking powder instead of baking soda. Right? So when you have a recipe that's identifiable, wouldn't it make sense to use that recipe? Yes. You can have anything that is like somebody else's. That's why people talk about modeling. And in sales, far too often, we work to take shortcuts. We're working to do fast without quality. What happens if we do fast without quality? We don't do repeat, is typically what happens out of it all. A good friend of mine said it this way: when you have a combination lock, no matter your race, creed, or economic status, if you have the combination, it has to open. It doesn't matter if a combination lock and you have that combination. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter male, female, white, black, green, purple. None of it matters if you have the right combination. And so that's why we want to take, interesting the way the system changed over that headline. So these are the 7 steps to empower your sales. Each step is valuable and independent. It is possible to miss a step or two here or there. But for the long haul, I would encourage you not to. I would do it in this order, in these ways, purposely. Even veterans benefit from a review of the process. Why do I say that? Because have you ever been in a situation where somebody says, well, you don't seem to understand. I've been selling for the last 30 years. I've already seen this. Has that ever happened to anybody?
Sure.
Happens all the time. Do things change? Yes. Is there more information? Yes. I went to an event prior to this morning to hear somebody speak. I found 3 nuggets that were fabulous. Now wait a second, Scott, you've done over 2,000 events yourself. Yeah. But at those events, I actually listen to the other speakers. Why? Because you can always learn more. When you learn more, you can do more. Pretty simple. The last step leads back to the first step. So what are the 7 steps? The first one, again, this is the acronym Empower Your Sales. The E stands for Examine the Marketplace. This is officially called prospecting. Where did it come from? It came from the prospectors, right? They used to go and pan for gold. That's where, so canvassing for leads. Who's the one? You don't know who to do business with until you know who to search for out in the marketplace. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Everyone and anyone are not sales categories. So too often somebody says, well, anyone and everyone is applicable to what I sell. Well, generally that might be somewhat true. You won't be able to refine your search in that case from that. So the question becomes, who is your avatar? And your avatar is your ideal customer. Now, with holistic health, that might be 35 to 54, female, this, that, whatever. Whether that's correct or not is for you to determine, but as an example. Who needs sales training? Jenna and I were talking the other day about a variety of different things as we were building some of our digital marketing platforms. And she said, how many 55-year-old up males are there right now that could really use what you're doing to help them learn how to sell themselves? Wow, made sense. So one of the reasons that I actually am tweaking one of my books to You Can Sell Yourself, to help people who have been in a certain environment for a period of time that all of a sudden are out into a different environment and they don't know. Again, maybe the accidental entrepreneur. There are a lot of people who came through corporate America. The friend that spoke this morning talked about his 13-year corporate career, and now all of a sudden for the last 6 years he's been an entrepreneur. And he said, he goes, I admit I've had a hard time being an entrepreneur. Why would he have a hard time? I mean, he's a smart guy. Because his foundation was in a corporate environment where there was a different set of rules, a different set of needs, a different set of desires. So again, we have to identify our avatar. Do you know and understand your knowledge and your skill sets? How well do you know you? What is your greatest strength? What is your greatest weakness? Now, many people say, you know, go ahead and identify your weakness and work on your weakness. I've got a different view on that. Identify your strength, utilize your strength by your weakness. In other words, outsource your weakness to somebody who is their strength. There's a reason your weakness is your weakness. Jen and I talk about it a lot. While I'd love to learn and love to learn some of the digital marketing stuff, I'll say it, I'll never be as good at it as she is. She's fabulous at it because that's her strength. That's her desire and core. So know your skill set and know how you can help others in the process. Who needs what you have to offer? Where is the greatest possible result? Where is the fastest result? What could you see when you understand what's your go-to process? Many times when I do a coaching session with somebody, I'll actually have them either interview me like I'm a prospect, and I'll listen to the questions they ask or don't ask. Most people don't ask their customers what their situation is. They immediately get into presentation and they start to present. Well, when I'm sitting there looking at a potential coaching client, if they're not questioning me well, what is one clue that they might need? They might need to learn how to ask better questions. Who else providing similar solutions in the marketplace? Now, why would you want to know this? Number one, because you can model, potentially. Number two, is you can learn what they're doing that is working for them and potentially not working for them. Don't do the things that aren't working for them. Do the things that are working for them and then add your own touch to it on top of that. Who else is providing solutions in the marketplace? One of the other things that I say a lot in training is that you don't gain respect from prospects by knowing your own stuff. Do you need to know your own stuff?
Yes.
Of course you do. Why don't you gain respect if you know your own stuff?
So it's expected that you should know.
Exactly, Randy. It's expected that you know your own stuff. That's not a standard. I mean, that's not
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement that you know your own stuff. Where you gain expertise or you gain respect is when you know the other person's stuff. So again, let's just say that you're using a particular cleanse or particular whatever from a holistic side again. Knowing the other people's product actually lifts and elevates you as the authority in that market segment. Does that make sense? So that's where you gain your expertise. The second is make first contact. Now this is marketing. This is you going out to the marketplace with what you offer. Now, the first thing to do is you get them at ease by being at ease. Saunter. Don't run at people. Don't just pop them in the forehead. And again, get them at ease. This is a process. Think about this as being a lifelong relationship that you're beginning to nurture. You want them to be at ease with you. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. You must make seeing you easy. This is one of the greatest things that we face in today's digital environment is we make things sometimes pretty and not effective. We're not really making it easy to find the process. As an example, one of the products that we're using to build a lot of our products right now, I had questions. Jenna was off vacationing. She was on a cruise, enjoying life. I reached out to the platform and I said, I can't find your phone number anywhere. This is like a 2-second conversation. They sent me a message back, we don't publish our phone number. Okay, how's that working for you? That doesn't like ingratiate you to me, right?
It's intuitively unobvious.
Yeah, it's like, well, go ahead and send a support ticket in and suggest a Zoom call, and then they'll send that back to you and schedule that with you. I'm working on this right now. I don't really want to work on this whenever you decide to work on this. Now, it's up to them to run their company. Didn't make it very easy. You know, does that make me want to go, hey, this supplier is like the greatest supplier ever? They don't publish their phone number because they don't really want to talk to you, right? First impressions are priceless. The bottom line is everything that you're putting out there should be congruent and consistent with whether that be your look or your whatever. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have the greatest website ever or the greatest logo ever. You know, be in process. Yeah, right.
That goes along with you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah, you absolutely only get one chance to make a first impression. And it's interesting where this comes up a lot in training vein is people saying with their attire. Well, I like to be comfortable. I wear jeans. If they don't like it, that's too bad. Awesome. You know, but if somebody doesn't want to do business with you because you wear jeans, if that's a possibility, is comfort really worth the loss of the business, right? First impressions are priceless. What else? People do business with those they know, like, and trust. If I don't know you, I don't like you. If I don't like you, I don't trust you. But I have to trust you to do business with you. It's just the way it works. So again, we have to develop that over time. You don't automatically, this is the same in relationships, it's the same in life, it's the same in anything. We have to earn our way to trust. Trust is hard to earn. It's easily broken. So again, if you say you're going to be someplace, be there. If you say you're going to call it Tuesday at 2 o'clock, call it Tuesday at 2 o'clock. You know, Sean and I wasn't sure exactly how we were going to do this today. But because of the trust we've built in our relationship, I was able to, after I left the first event at 8:30, I said, oh, by the way, I'm doing this training over at Warfare Marketing. Can you come by? Now, here's what's interesting. I didn't say, can you come by and bring cameras and set it up and record it? But he did that. Why? Because of the trust that we've established over time. He took it upon himself because you can always erase it, but you can't get it back if you don't do it. So that's what relationship happens over time. The one thing that I find a lot in networking events especially is people describe themselves by their title. I'm a holistic practitioner. Okay. I'm a life insurance agent. I'm a financial consultant. No, that's not who you are. That's what you do. What you really are, and what all of us really are, is quality of life merchants. If we can't improve the quality of life of the person on the other end, we've got a problem. Again, it ties back into we're in the results business, but ultimately we're a quality of life merchant. Nobody wants what we have. They want the results what we have delivers. You're going to hear me keep on coming back to that. And building rapport is job one. Sometimes people, again, we live in a very unique time. Immediate gratification, me, now. It's got to happen right this second. And the reality is, some of us more mature, that's code word for old, some of us more mature folks are developing greater relationships today than ever because what we're actually doing is we're building rapport over time. And understanding that people do business with those they trust, it takes building rapport to get there. Step 3 is prepare for success. This is qualifying. Now, qualify your prospect through questioning. Who knows what their problem is? They do. So as opposed, well, sometimes they do, but they're going to know more of what has kept them from being successful than you know probably at that time. So one of the questions that I start out with, or it's a great question to start a conversation at a networking event, depends on where your relationship falls, but one of the first questions I might ask is, so if you could improve one thing in your life, what would it be? That one question will take you down a path. They can answer it any way they like. If you could improve one thing in your life, what would it be? Boy, if I had greater cash flow, it would be awesome. If you could improve one thing in your life, what would it be? Boy, if I could spend more time with my kids, it would be awesome. If I could vacation 3 times a year, it would be awesome. The point is that one question tends to open up a conversation. So it can take you in a lot of different directions. You qualify them, but they're qualifying you. Have you ever been to a networking event where you've walked up to somebody and the only person they have talked about is themselves? Has that ever happened? I'm the only one who's experienced that? No? Or you walk up to them and say, you know what, I'm going to talk a little bit about me, and after I'm done, why don't you talk a little bit about me? One of those guys, right? So again, you're qualifying them, absolutely, but they're also qualifying you. Are they showing interest in me? Are they showing interest in my situation? Are they showing interest in how to potentially serve me or what I'm excited about? Yeah, Randy.
Just a thought is, having been to probably not nearly as many networking things as you have, certainly when I came here, the majority of people are trying to do the qualification process in a nanosecond.
Right.
They're not building a relationship. They're not doing the know, like, and trust. They're just, are you a prospect or not? It's on or off. Yep. And then they move on.
It's a great example. There was a networking group that started here a number of years ago. And a friend of mine started it. And so there were 7 of us at the first event. Okay, the next event wasn't for a month later. And there were 57 at the second event. Well, if you do the math, theoretically, there were at least 50 new people in the second event. And yet, as we went around the room, virtually everybody worked to sell the room. Now, this is the first time they've been there, but they saw 57 people there. Target-rich environment, oh my God. Well, I happened to be the 52nd person that gave their 30-second talk. And I got up and I said, hi, my name's Scott Schilling. I'm a speaker, trainer, author, business coach. And quite frankly, I haven't earned the right to ask any of you for anything. So instead, I would like to offer you all a gift. Please go to twgfreegift.com and you can download one of my complete books, the entire PDF of the book. And should you like the book, my contact information is in there. And only then, if you want to talk again, please feel free to reach out to me. And I sat down. Well, at the end, I had like 50 people come line up and give me their cards. Why? Because I went to serve the room first, as opposed to selling the room. By the way, you online can go to twgfreegift.com and you can get that book yourself. So you can do that. So what's their code? I would encourage you to go to this website right here, mybankcode.com/U+1. This will take you only about a minute to a minute and a half. In 90 seconds, you will know your code. And that is your buying code, basically how you respond to two different things. Now, you'll get a free report for just going there and doing that. You'll understand a whole lot more about you going forward. Now, it's something that we use in business because I want to know you the best I possibly can. So I encourage you to do it for yourself to see your own report. Again, it'll only take about a minute and a half. But what it basically does is now gives us some tips on your communication style, what's important to you, all those different kinds of things. Why would I want to do that? Because I can serve you better when I know you better. And if that's my foundation, that I want to be of service, I want to do everything I can to gain that opportunity. Does that make sense to everybody? What else? Who, what, where, when, why, how? Back in the day, again, some of us more mature folks were taught to ask these questions. Who, what, where, when, why, how? About other people's business. Now, most people aren't asking anything about anything to anybody. They're doing a lot of telling, and telling isn't selling. Telling is just exactly that. We want to be giving stories. And how do you fit their needs? That's the foundational piece. When you prepare for success, it's all about them. The more information you can gain about them, the better off you're going to be. You're going to have much greater opportunities. Ultimately, what that allows for is them to reveal both your opportunities to serve them and their challenges in their business. That's what we want to have, is that trusted ability to be able to solve their challenges. Now, isn't it interesting? We're through 3 steps of the 7 steps of the selling cycle, and we haven't talked about us or our product at this point. That's the biggest difference with doing this selling cycle properly, is you notice that the presentation phase is right smack in the middle. It's step 4. This is where we get to offer the goods. Offering the goods is where we make the presentation. And it's about 3 things: benefits, benefits, benefits. People don't buy what it is. They buy what it does. They don't buy the steak, they buy the sizzle. If you think back, again, for some of us more mature folks, the Marlboro Man. They didn't sell lung cancer. They sold, look how ruggedly handsome he was riding a horse and all the women will swoon. They're selling, quote unquote, the benefit. not what it is. Okay, it's always been like that. People buy what it does, not what it is. Nobody wants what you have. Don't take that personally. Just understand, nobody wants what you have. They want the results that you'll give them, and if they're not taking advantage of what you have, it's because you have not been able to convey to them that they will benefit from it. There's always got to be a benefit to them. Present your products and your services professionally. Present, don't pitch. Professionals present. Baseball players pitch. Up-level your communication. The quality of your life is dictated by the quality of your communications. It sounds like a simple thing. One of the modules that I teach a lot on is the communication model and word choice being critical. That's one of those pet peeve words for me. When somebody says, well, let me hear your sales pitch. I don't have a sales pitch. What I have is a presentation of what I have to offer. Would you like to hear that? Do you understand that automatically up-levels and differentiates you from somebody else? It's like going into a Starbucks and opening a door for a young lady. She says, thank you, and I say, my pleasure, or it's an honor. Most people say you're welcome, and that's a fine response, but it's a non-differentiating response. We want to stand out, especially professionally, as we do this. Watch for unexpected opportunities. When you're making a presentation, when you're talking to people, many times you've now earned enough rapport with them and enough trust with them that their guard drops a little bit, and so they will actually expose what their real issues are where they might not have earlier. Again, it all depends on the amount of rapport that you get with them. So watch for unexpected opportunities. They buy what it does, not what it is. I mean, I can't say that often enough, that it's about those benefits. And remember that the customer buys you first. Now, this is a place where I actually talk about sarcasm or the lack thereof, which is the way it actually should be. There's no real place for sarcasm in business. People say, well, it's funny. It's funny to one person, the person sharing the sarcasm. It's typically not funny to the person who is the blunt of the sarcasm. And the fact is, if you're hurtful in one, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you are hurtful one way, you're hurtful typically in all ways, or can be construed that way. Is it worth losing a deal? Is a cheap joke worth losing a deal? More than likely not. So again, remember that they buy you first. How you do anything is how you do everything. Be nice to people all the time, not just some of the time. And we see this sometimes in the speaking industry, that somebody is one way on stage and they're one way off stage. Be who you are. Just be the same. You don't have to remember what changes. Now the fifth step is I call welcome the storm. This is handling objections. Now why would I say welcome objections? Welcome this. Because an unearthed objection is still an objection. What that means is just because they haven't shared the objection with you does not mean there isn't one. I would rather know everything that is of concern to you, period. And so there are ways of getting to that. Understand that objections are going to happen. Sometimes they're just part of a game. So in other words, people will, I'm not supposed to be a pushover here, so I've got to object to something. Or I got to slow down the process a little bit. I've got to do something like that. But understand that you want to be able to address the objection. Because once you can take that objection and respond, you now have another reason They've checked off another box in your favor as to why this is a good choice going forward. More often than not, an objection is a simple request for more information. So again, if a conversation is going, and when I actually break it out into the modules, I'll get much deeper into this. But let's say that the conversation is somewhat one-sided. You ask a question, they don't really give you a response. You ask the question, they don't really give you a response. I'll say something like, what's holding you back? And I'll just sit there as long as I have to sit there. Because the only person who knows why they're not talking, why they're not taking action, why they're not objection, is them. It's okay. And again, how we actually handle the objections, I'll go into detail in that module. Welcome the storm. Again, listen carefully, then compose and respond. Notice the order. Listen carefully. Hear what they have to say. Then compose the answer, then respond. So, if you are truly a topic expert, a category expert, you should more than likely have heard every objection possible towards your product, goods, or services. And if you haven't, what I would do is I would plain ask people, what's holding you back? Let me hear every possible concern that you could have regarding this. Why would I do that? Because I want to be prepared for not only this interaction, but for the next one as well. So again, I want to get into that situation. The bottom line is, the most knowledgeable with the best delivery usually wins. Meaning, if I can anticipate your questions, quite frankly, from a speaker's point of view, what a speaker should do is anticipate any question that could be asked in advance and build that into their presentation when they give it. You should already be anticipating questions. Again, the fact that somebody says, well, this could be expensive. If that's ever been raised about anything you ever do, you should have an answer to that. You should know how to handle it. It's already been raised. You should work on all the answers. When we were able to take a company from 8 million to 100 million in 5.5 years, we had 5 answers to every potential objection. So, well, what's holding you back? It's the money. I can appreciate that. Is that your only concern? Yes. What is it about the money that's of concern? Does it mean you don't have it with you? You don't have it in accounts? You don't have it that you... We had 5 different approaches to answer that question. Now, why would you do that? Because you're a professional. Anticipate it. If it can come up, it can stop a sale. If it can stop a sale, you haven't done what you tried to do. Anticipate it in advance and be ready for it. Step 6 is engage the sale. This is the actual closing. Now, closing the sale is the next natural progression of the entire selling cycle. So the bottom line is that this is natural. It shouldn't be anything else. You've gone along, you've made a great presentation. How would you like to, how would you like to feel better and look better and dance longer? I'd love that. Great. Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to get started right now? That's a closing question. I've closed you throughout this training. The closing question was, makes sense? Does that work for you? Those are all closing questions. And basically, even when I'm training, I'm looking to make sure that the information is landing in such a way to be of service to you. Make sense? That's a closing question. Ask for the order and be quiet. This is where many times people open their own presentation back up. They ask a closing question. Randy, would you like to take advantage of that? Oh, he didn't answer in the first second and a half, so I need to say something else now. Well, how about now? No, you're still not ready? And nervousness sets in. Give them the opportunity to answer. I was doing a training of about 200 salespeople for a direct sales company not long ago. And a woman stood up and she said, "Can I ask you a question about closing?" I said, "Absolutely." She said, "I give the best presentation the company has provided us on our products. I have got it down to a T, word for word, and I go there, and when it comes to closing, nobody closes. Can you help me?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. Stop trying to close people that were never open in the first place." And the CEO jumps up and goes, "That's brilliant." And I said, "That's not brilliant. That's common sense." Far too often we try to close people who were never open. They were never
It sounds like they skipped step 2 or whatever, they never qualified the prospect.
That's exactly it. And this tends to happen in direct sales. Again, not an indictment on the industry. I'm a believer in the industry. I just wish that people would train to understand that it's permission-based presentation, and you need to present and then follow the progression. It's a prime example of missing a step or two. So you ask for the order, and you're quiet, and you wait. There's nothing like waiting. The pressure of silence happens. With a yes, you stop talking and sign them up. Anything else, you hear them out and respond accordingly. We make it far more cumbersome than it needs to be. And notice when it's a yes, you be quiet, you don't talk anymore. Far too many people talk themselves out of a sale. Now it's simply processing paperwork, getting the financial transaction, doing the different things from that side. Step number 7, what's that? Revitalize your future is the way I call it. And revitalizing your future is gaining referrals. People love helping those that help them. So what we want to do is we want to give people the opportunity. So you've now been exposed to some of this training. Who do you know that could benefit from similar training like this? Or who do you know that could blah, 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 whatever that might be. Referrals are simply just another progression. The key to referrals is the timing and when they are asked for. They should be asked for immediately upon the conclusion of a positive transaction. Immediately. So we finish up. Randy, you decide to purchase something. I say, "Randy, thank you so much. I really greatly appreciate this. Would you know anybody else that could benefit from a similar transaction that we just did here?" Now, Randy only can say 2 things at that point. Yes or no. And quite frankly, either one is fine.
Or not yet.
Or not yet. Right. So if I say, "Randy, do you know anybody?" and he says, "Well, not yet." That's great, Randy. Would you remember me and remember our working together? If you should come across something that this makes some sense for, would you pass along their name and contact information? Sure. Or, "No, I can't think of anybody." That's great. If you ever do think of anybody, would you?
Or proactively, do I have your permission to get back to you in, let's say, 30 days and ask this question again after you've had some experience?
Exactly. Totally agree that it can be proactive out into the future. I tell you what, Randy, I get it. Sometimes people want to really kick the tires and think about it a little bit. Can I give you a call 30 days from now and just touch base with you? That'd be great. Okay. What most people don't do, unfortunately, is they don't ask at the time of the positive transaction. That's where the greatest issue really falls, is not asking right then and there. And again, it doesn't have to be, "By God, you better give me somebody," or it's all how you do it. It's just nice and relaxed as you do it. Who else do you know that has similar issues? Pretty simple. Who do you care about that could benefit similarly? Now, here's the one thing that many people don't realize. One of the reasons that people give referrals is to actually verify their actions. So they'll say, I'm so smart that I'm working with Jenna at Warfare Marketing. So Dave, you know what? You need to work with Jenna at Warfare Marketing because she's awesome. What I'm really saying is I was really smart to find her in the first place. So many people give referrals not because they want to help you, but they want to verify to themselves that they've made a quality decision on that side. And it's not who you know, it's who knows you. You want a reputation beyond repute. We just had a situation where somebody relied upon a lot of other people's reputations to up-level their own and didn't fulfill a tremendous number of things. And it's cut ties immediately. You don't do business with people who aren't conceptually aligned with you and your ideals and morals and everything. So again, examine the marketplace, make first contact, prepare for success, offer the goods, welcome the storm, engage the sale, and revitalize your future, empower your sales. Before I go on to just one last thing, any thoughts or questions or comments that I can answer?
I had one online one.
Yes,
Do you do the training at companies?
absolutely. Do trainings at companies, do trainings all over.
That was Kevin's question. Connect with them afterwards.
I'll do that. That'd be awesome.
Is Empower your brand acronym? Or-
Yes. Yeah, I've been training this. This is actually the material that we trained to take a company from 8 million to 100 million in 5.5 years. So as an example, that was in the seminar industry. There's a couple interesting things about that, about the Empower training and the actual process. I was brought into an industry where, quite frankly, at the time I was brought in, I saw the industry doing caveman style selling. Caveman style selling is bang them in the head, drag them back to the table. Okay? And that's when objection handling was, are you going to make this decision or should I get your wife because she wears the pants of the family? And believe it or not, that's the way it was. It was, and I said, I'm not going to be part of this industry if this is the way it is. You have to treat people with dignity, honor, and respect. And so the first thing I did is I changed the presentation from stage. And we started presenting with far more dignity, honor, and respect. So that was the first part of that whole process. But the second part was putting in the Empower Your Sales process into everybody else in the company, not just in the field. So I was the 37th person in that company. By the time we finished, we had 452. And they had all been through this. Now, why would you do that? You do that because your culture becomes everything to you if you want to vault a company. And we actually had people that, one of the modules I train on in this is 7 steps to building rapport in a minute and a half or less. It's 7 steps, it's 38 words in a sequence that just plain works. And we had somebody that was trying to become employed by us, and we'd have them practice it, and then we'd have them go up in front of the room and they'd role play. And this one guy would not say those 38 words. And we'd say, which part of those 38 words don't you understand? And he said, I understand them, it's just not the way I do it. And we said it is the way we do it, because we need consistency and everything else. And we gave him a chance to do it again, and he refused to do it. And we said, thank you, we're choosing not to hire you. And he said, but don't you understand that I've sold millions and millions of dollars, and I do this and I do that? That's irrelevant. We've got a culture, and we're not going to destroy our culture for you. So part of it becomes, when you put a culture in like this, that's why we had everybody trained how to handle the objections. They knew all the answers. Because it wasn't like I talked to Randy and, well, I didn't like Randy's answer, I wasn't able to work him, so I'm gonna come talk to Rayanne. Well, Rayanne's got the exact same answers as Randy does. So when you train culture and you train it, that's how we could get that hockey stick growth. We didn't start out, I mean, we started at 8 million and we went like this, and then all of a sudden we went like that. And that's why we were able to take it up so fast. So yeah, I've been training this for a lot of years with a lot of great success. And then sometimes, Randy, you just gotta go for it. You gotta don the little mouse crash helmet. Abraham Lincoln said, always bear in mind your own resolution to succeed. Kind of ruins it when I miss it on the click. Your own resolution to succeed is more important than any one thing. Again, I said it earlier, Henry Ford saying, think you can, think you can't. You're right either way. It's the exact same way if you think you can do it. What's it? Just don't want to stop there. Why take the action today? Because you can't solve the problems with the same level of thinking that created them. You've got to do that. That was Einstein. And quite frankly, your steps are perfectly ordered. I mean, there's a reason to serve them and to do it today. I was with John Maxwell doing an event. It's funny, I had this shirt on. That's pretty cool. And I said, John, what's the one thing that you hear consistently? And he said, everybody wants what I have. The only question is, are they willing to do what I did to get there? That becomes the question with this, is doing it that way. So basically I put this all together in a package, and just letting you guys know this is kind of a Cyber Monday thing as we're doing it. Normally the 30-minute consult is $250 alone, private group, my book, all the lessons, all the different things. But the other thing we're going to do is for the first 100 people, and I know there are not 100 in here, but we're doing this over the internet as well. We're going to give a $1,000 travel savings passport for your $197 investment in yourself. Why are we doing that? Because saving money is making money. You can use it towards your business, and quite frankly, we want everybody to get this information. So, thank you. God bless.
Yay.